Please welcome a 6'9" forward from Seton Hall, 00, Anthony Avent.
Hey Magic fans, welcome to the latest Magic Player History episode on the career of Anthony Avent. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can learn the story of every Magic player who ever suited up for the franchise. Anthony Avent played 3 years of college basketball at Seton Hall, where as a freshman he played in the 1989 NCAA Championship game. After his junior year, Avent declared for the NBA draft and was selected with the 15th overall pick by the Atlanta Hawks before his rights were traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. After being unable to come to a contract agreement with the Bucks, Avent signed to play in Italy for the season before coming back to play his NBA rookie season with Milwaukee in 1992-93. During his second NBA season, Avent began as the Bucks' starting power forward before rookie Vin Baker took his spot in the lineup in mid-December. At the same time, Orlando were crippled with injuries to their front line, with Larry Krystkowiak and Greg Kite going down, and stopgap solutions of Lorenzo Williams, Anthony Cook, and Keith Tower struggling to contribute. The Magic started discussing a trade with the Milwaukee Bucks, and initial discussions circled around Scott Skiles, who had become somewhat expendable now with Anthony Hardaway on the roster. The Bucks reportedly offered veteran big man Frank Brickowski and Lee Mayberry, but the Magic were targeting the younger Avent as well as Eric Murdoch. The Bucks wouldn't part with Murdoch, so the Magic took Skiles off the table and reworked the trade to get Avent, eventually packaging up Anthony Cook with a future first and second round draft pick and sent them to Milwaukee in exchange for Avent. Avent was very happy to be traded, describing the situation in Orlando as his wish come true. The trade occurred on January 15th, and on that same night, the Magic played the Bucks, but Milwaukee didn't conduct the necessary physicals in time for Avent to play in the game, much to his disappointment. Avent wore 00 on his jersey, which was the same jersey number as the man he was traded for, Anthony Cook. As the two were the same size, Avent played his first few games in Cook's jersey with no name on the back, having Cook's name just picked off. The Magic brought Avent off the bench initially, but he had a strong game of 11 points, 11 rebounds and 2 blocks in his second game with the team to help ease the burden inside on Shaquille O'Neal. In his third game against the Knicks, Avent blocked a shot inside, which drew the ire of Charles Oakley, who flagrantly fouled Avent a short time later. Shaq, who had often been the victim of Charles Oakley's maulings, was glad the Magic had someone to draw some focus away from him, saying, "Now we've got the big body we needed at power forward." After a week where the Magic lost 3 out of 4 games, coach Brian Hill made a change to the lineup, sending Scott Skiles and Jeff Turner to the bench, while Dennis Scott and Avent were moved into the starting 5. Anthony Hardaway switched to the full-time point guard role, and in the first game, the moves looked disastrous as Orlando were blown out in New York. After the New York game was the All-Star break though, and the Magic got some time to get used to the new rotation, and they reeled off a franchise record 7 straight wins. Avent's offensive production wasn't fantastic during the stretch, but he averaged nearly 4 offensive rebounds a game, and his defense was strong enough to keep him in the lineup. In mid-March, Larry Krystkowiak returned from his foot injury, and this started to put pressure on Avent to hold his place in the starting 5. Avent hadn't scored in double figures once as a starter, and had only pulled down 10 boards in 2 of his 20 starts. After jamming his thumb against Chicago, he shot 0 for 3 against Cleveland and then 0 for 5 against the Lakers. But it was Jeff Turner, not Krystkowiak, who took Avent's starting spot, with the coaching staff citing Avent's lack of aggressiveness. Over the next 12 games, Avent missed 5 due to his thumb injury, and he dropped to the third-string power forward position behind Krystkowiak, averaging less than 4 minutes a game when he did get on the court. In the run to the playoffs, Turner tore his ACL, and Krystkowiak replaced him in the starting lineup. Avent seized the opportunity of more playing time, recording 13 points, 12 rebounds and 3 assists in 24 bench minutes in a win over the Pistons, and the Magic headed toward their first playoff series against the Indiana Pacers. Avent missed the first game of the playoffs with a sore left knee, but with Shaq in foul trouble, he played 17 minutes in Game 2, where he scored 13 points and grabbed 7 rebounds. He was less effective in Game 3, with 6 points in 23 minutes, and the Magic was swept out of the playoffs. With the team having traded a first-round pick to get Avent, his first season was described as somewhat of a disappointment, and the power forward position was outlined as an area of need for the Magic. Turner's ACL injury, coupled with options in Krystkowiak's contract, meant that the Magic may be left with only Avent to man the position. Avent played in the Magic summer camp, a rarity for a 2-year veteran, and he was under pressure to perform during games in the Southern Rookie Review, with Vice President John Gabriel stating, in certain situations, he'll be expected to dominate. Instead, it was unheralded point guard Darrell Armstrong who was the star of the show, but Avent played strongly enough to raise his stock leading into the Magic's training camp. Still, the Magic desired an upgrade, and they chased Chicago Bulls All-Star forward Horace Grant. After some missteps with his contract, he was signed, relegating Avent to the backup. For training camp, Avent arrived in great shape and he was described as being much improved, particularly as a rim protector, where he blocked 5 shots in 14 minutes in the second game of the season against Washington. After Greg Kite's release, Avent settled in as coach Brian Hill's first choice to back up both Grant at power forward and Shaq at center. Avent's minutes were a little sporadic once Jeff Turner made his incredibly quick return from his ACL injury in November, but he played strongly against the Kings and Knicks to earn his first start of the season on December 7th when Grant was out with a foot injury. Avent had 10 points, 9 rebounds and 4 assists, helping the Magic to a 15-point win, and his minutes picked up from then onward as he shared backup center minutes with Grant. Avent had his only double-double of the season against Denver on December 14th, where he had 11 points, 11 rebounds and 3 blocks as the Magic remained unbeaten at home. On New Year's Eve of 1994, Avent was caught up in off-court issues, as he showed up in an Orlando hospital with stab wounds to his left arm. Avent told police that he had left a nightclub in downtown Orlando at around 3:30 a.m. and was walking alone on a street when he was insulted by 3 men. An argument escalated into a fist fight and one man slashed Avent with a knife, opening wounds in his left arm as well as his hand as he tried to grab the knife. The wounds required 22 stitches and 20 staples to close, but amazingly, Avent didn't miss a game, blocking 2 shots in 12 minutes 3 days later against New Jersey. The story wasn't over, however, as Avent declined to assist police with the resulting investigation. The police couldn't find any traces of blood at the scene, and a valet parking attendant told police that Avent had picked up his car at 2:30 a.m. With the case garnering local media attention, Avent admitted to fabricating the story to protect a friend who had attacked him in his home, and he declined to prosecute the friend, wanting the case dropped. The Magic fined Avent $3,000 for his fabricated story and donated the money to charity. Avent's minutes began to decline from then onward, whether as a result of his recovery from his wounds or Jeff Turner's health improving is unsure, and Avent was also dealing with a toe issue. When Horace Grant missed time with knee and back issues, Avent tried to seize his chance, attempting to play through his toe pain, starting a game in late January, but struggled, playing just 23 minutes and scoring just the 1 point. Avent then tried to play through a stretch of injuries. He eventually had to have an ingrown toenail removed. He missed 4 games leading into the All-Star break, and after returning, he took a knee to the thigh against Chicago, which resulted in 2 more missed games. He missed time with a migraine, a toothache, and he was still slowed by his toe issue. Against San Antonio in mid-March, Avent was called on to start, and he played 28 minutes, but it was the only time he played in more than 25 minutes in all of 1995 until the final game of the season, where he grabbed 10 boards in 35 minutes against the Knicks. As the Magic headed to the playoffs as the number 1 seed in the East, coach Brian Hill had tightened his rotation, and Avent didn't see much court time. Against the Celtics in the first round, Avent only got minutes in the 47-point blowout win in Game 1. Against the Chicago Bulls in the second round, Avent battled a cold and got playing time in 3 games, with his best contribution 5 points and 3 rebounds in the Game 4 loss. Avent also only got court time in 3 games during the Eastern Conference Finals, playing a total of 9 minutes, and he scored 4 points, all of them in Game 6. Avent didn't get any court time in the NBA Finals, as the Magic were swept by the Houston Rockets 4-0. At the end of the season, the NBA added expansion franchises in Toronto and Vancouver, and as part of the expansion draft, Orlando could protect 8 players on their roster from being selected. Avent was left unprotected by the Magic, and Vancouver showed interest. Not wanting to lose him in the draft, the Magic agreed to send a second-round pick to the Grizzlies if they selected Rodney Dent instead of Avent. Vancouver agreed, though they remained interested in Avent. Orlando signed veteran center John Koncak, and they selected rookie power forward David Vaughn in the NBA draft to help bolster their front line. And Vaughn brought the aggressiveness that the Magic had hoped they would get from Avent. With these moves creating somewhat of a logjam in the front court, and Vaughn on a much cheaper contract than Avent, the Magic decided to trade him to Vancouver for Kevin Pritchard and Larry Stewart, neither of whom would ever play for the Magic as they were waived shortly after. Avent admitted it would be an adjustment to go from one of the league's winningest teams to an expansion franchise, but he was excited by the prospect of more playing time. Avent played the one season in Vancouver, where he did see a considerable minutes bump, before heading to play in Greece for a year. After returning to play in the CBA in 1997-98, Avent got a call-up to the Utah Jazz before a season with the LA Clippers and finished his career with a final season back in Greece. In Avent's 112-game Orlando Magic career, he averaged 3.6 points and 4.3 rebounds per game. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Magic career of Anthony Avent. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and check back soon for our next episode on the Magic career of Anthony Hardaway.